tablet, computer, you know, that the planning board can have. Okay, if you find the, can you find a network? You can get on the internet?
Okay. Right there.
And then just ask to join, and then I have a password here.
Yep. All right, here. Oh, you know what it is? You know what's throwing things off here? That resolution that this thing is capable of, I can't do the screen can do. That's why I've got this little narrow.
Yeah, this thing is called.
Okay, so there's a password, right?
Yeah, it's that one right there.
Why did they make it so long?
No, Rick did it. Hopefully it works.
No spaces?
No spaces, just the way it can be received.
Security key mismatch. Okay, any of these are the case or anything else?
Maybe they changed it. Did you sure you typed it in right?
Clifton. Clifton.
Town.
C-O-W-N.
1849.
1849.
Office.
O-F-F-I-C. No mistakes?
And maybe they changed it.
All caps, all mine.
All small letters.
It can be all small.
Doesn't like it.
Oh, well. Well, they must have changed it then.
Small letter.
Yeah, it was small letter.
Those are small letters.
One thing I could do is, let's just go ahead and get started, and I'll just text Rick. He knows this stuff.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Just date tonight.
Real question is whether you want to start
As I was-
Zoom.
Just hang on a
No,
second.
I've been wanting this for a while, I just never figured out grabbing them. Because the only time I knew it was reading. I can sit right here, I can see everything just as plain as I just can't.
I have some problem. I don't need to drive, but I'm legal that way, but when it gets down to magnification, yes.
So we were going to do first, we were going to go through the
Article 6 to, Article 14 to 6.
sure, the right piece of paper, because I was actually going to be up on the internet to go separate off of that. April, March, February.
One, two, three.
Is it the 7th or the 6th?
14 to 6. That's what we had down as first.
Yeah, I have every month in here except for January, just for the record copy of that. Problem is I changed computers and stuff like that, so it's a little bit
Oh, the fun.
flaky.
The fun.
See those stuff all over the place. Oops.
Eric?
That's about as good as it's gonna get.
Oh, okay.
Let's see what this does to it. Just want to make sure we're in the right articles tonight, that's all.
I printed your schedule on
You did print it? Oh, cool.
it. Right off the bat, though, the first one you say Article 7, it should be Article 6.
You didn't put them in date order, that's why.
You could change it, which I did. You could go to there's a tab at the top.
No, it's because they're supposed to go to Article 7. It's supposed to be from,
14 to 6 is your review for,
site
This is 6.
plan and subdivision review is Article 6.
yeah,
I thought you said you wanted to put them in the general performance standards.
no. Article 6. No, I had down here, actually I wrote it backwards, 6 to 14.
Okay, well, you know what, you said they were general performance standards, so I,
No, they're the submissions.
okay. This is what I thought you said last week. I did actually write in my notes on the page Article 6, and I went back and changed it to Article 7 because I thought you meant you wanted to put the stuff that's general that applies to everything in Article 14 in Article.
No, in Article 6, I had it for that table.
Okay, all right. No problem.
And set tier levels on everything. Because a lot of it will apply to
All right, so I'll go back and just
small projects.
make that, that should have been 6 was right, and I was wrong, so there you go. So you want to put Article 14 in Article 6.
Parts of it, a lot of the submission requirements. I've got a whole list of the things here with
Okay,
recommendations.
we'll go ahead, we're in Article 14, and we'll go ahead and start working them back.
Okay. Need to have 2 things over, so Article 6. Right here. Okay,
I need to write it
No,
stop that.
just that
I just got who's here and what
we
time.
met and what time, and
Okay, thank you.
As soon as I get down to the section on submission requirements. In my copy here, I've already taken all of the definitions and moved them to 18, so, but that's not what we're discussing tonight. Okay, specific site, okay, if you look at Article 14, Section F, submission requirements.
for when? For,
For wind, yes.
okay.
14,
So it'd
15.
be- I think that's Section 8, F.
8.0, 1411, page 14. Industrial wind energy facility. And then from there, you want to go to submission right at the beginning, Bruce, where it says applicability.
No, I think we want to go after, we want to go after the submissions.
Right to the submissions.
That's on 15.
Page 15, there. Okay.
Yeah. Under application procedure, then submission requirements. Which is the old one is F.
Okay, submission requirements.
Right. Okay, specific site plan detail, the project narrative. If you look at what's asked for, a narrative description of proposed wind energy facility, including overview of the project location, generating capacity, and expected production. And yeah, it's not very clear up there. Here's what I wrote down. It's covered already in your new Article 6.3.6.2.
Say that again, sir.
6.3.6.2, it asks for a narrative. And we should look at that and see.
Six point three point six point two.
6362. General description of the proposed use, is that?
Yes. And here, because I'm in the wrong spot.
That is the same on page 6.2, Vern?
So on 6-9, the new version.
Yeah, 69.
Yes, new version.
But just don't go with 6.9, go with 6.3.6.2, because that's less likely to change.
Okay, so the narrative description is asked through there. The project location is data included in other submissions.
Okay, so okay, go ahead, keep going.
In other words, in the maps that are asked for. So that's another duplication. Generating capacity is data included in other submissions.
Okay, where's the generating capacity?
Generating capacity would be, oh shoot, under some of the, I forget which project, it won't be specific right here. It will be in the other submissions. When they say we're putting in 1.8 megawatt turbines, there's your generating capacity right there. As well as it was listed in,
So it's in six. So when I go make the recommended change in the Word document that's going to get published, so people can see why we're changing it, I'm going to say it's included in 6.3.6.2 and where else?
and in other submissions. The other, and the production of the wind energy facility, quite frankly, as far as for determining compliance with the LUO, it's immaterial and probably proprietary.
That's not true.
You don't think so?
No, it's not going to be. It's going to be public information, number one, because they have to. It's disclose that with the utilities before they're in the Public Utilities Commission before they even get a license to produce. You can't go produce power in Maine without publicly saying how much power you're going to produce.
Did you have to submit that?
That is in the power purchase agreement as well as the ISO interconnection agreement. So,
Right,
and that all is public information.
Right, it's all public information. So,
Right, but is it material for us to
well,
determine?
yeah, because that's how we decide whether or not it's a residential facility or an industrial facility.
Isn't that obvious if you're starting right out, this is for the industrial wind?
Well, I know, but I mean, somewhere or another, we say in here, there's what the difference is. I mean, that's a mute point. I mean, I just need to know where the other submissions are. Because that's what they're going to be looking. Because it's going to be.
Well, the only question is if you want to, under 6.3.6.2, modify it in any way. Because I don't see any necessity to have two project narratives included in the submission. Does anybody else agree? Or?
Oh, I definitely agree with
I
that.
agree, yeah, sure.
You just look down to the rest of it. You know what? Where it says tower dimensions, because that's definitely not anywhere else. Okay. later on, what we can do is we can add capacity.
I've got down as we go down.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do then. I'm gonna make that generating capacity a bin item. He's gonna go
Okay.
someplace else in the wind specific stuff.
Okay, I don't think it's important as far as determining compliance with anything. For us, of what use is it for us to know, not the generating capacity, the expected production. Generating capacity will be in other water supply. Okay, but you see where.
What's the difference? Okay, I see what you're saying. So the generating capacity would be like, if everything worked 100% of the time at 100% efficiency, and expected production would be something less than that.
Right, which in most wind farms is 20 to 25%. And actually, nobody will know what the production actually is until after it's online. But the generating capacity is no different than, in some ways, than let's take an example, a dam with water flowing over it. They do not run at 100% capacity all the time. Probably 3/4 of the year, they run at a fairly low capacity.
Well, we'll just hold that for right now. You know, I don't want to get down into like every little possible thing here.
Okay, but do you agree? It's
Yeah, I can see what you're
6.3.6.2.
Yeah,
So my point is, the
Yeah.
project narrative can be eliminated from
that section.
that section.
All right, next.
Okay, next, overview map, topographic map, and aerial photo. Okay, here's our questions. Okay, an overview map that includes the extent of the entire town, showing all roads together with the location of all, it says turbines. But I think a better term would be proposed structures.
Right, and that's, I can definitely see like the overview map, everything that goes down to wind energy facility. Okay, up, down to the words planning board, that would be definitely covered under the site plan, because you're gonna put your structures in wherever, so I agree that whole part, but then the next
It's covered
part,
under 6.3.3.1.
yeah, 6.3.3.1, I definitely agree with that. But then the next part, how do we deal with the next part?
Hold on just a second. Okay, down to the planning board. Oh, and I did mention here, I think parts of this should be included under 6.3.3.2, if you look at them carefully.
Okay.
You may decide to rewrite those, I'm not sure.
6.3.3.2.
Yeah. You can look at the two of those entries. Oh, or is there a 6.3.3. Yeah, general map and then location map.
6.1, bottom, 6.3, and goes on to 6.4.
The only thing that is different in ours for this is this asks for it out to 1.5 miles. And the question is, should you add another block or should we change the location map to say 1.5 miles? If you look at what you wrote under 6.3.3.2.
Missing a page, I'm missing the missing page, no, that's 6.3.
Location map is on 6-3.
Now, what I'm going to suggest is that you make another block called 6.3.3.3 that is a copy of 6.3.3.2, but with 1.5 mile requested location map. And have that apply only to all tier 3s, not just the wind farms. See where I'm going with this?
Yeah, so, okay.
The point being, if anything's a tier 3, it probably should be analyzed out to that distance. Tier 3 high. Not necessarily the low and medium.
So we would wanna, all right, so this would be a project that would be basically all big projects basically are gonna have to do that first part down at the word planning board. You know, so we need to adjust 6.3.3, basically.
Basically, I think we should add one more block for the location map. And what I would do is take 6.3.3.2 and have it apply all the way out to tier 3 moderate, and then have anybody that's got a tier 3 high, a 1.5 mile location map apply.
So you want it, wait, just, you want this for moderate and up or high, only high?
I think just the high,
Okay.
but that is something that, does anyone else have a feeling on that?
So you wanna add another column down here?
Another,
No, he's maybe gonna add another, he basically wants me to change, to add 6 point, right, at 6 point boundary survey will become 0.4, and then this thing will become 0.3.
right. You see, do that
Yeah.
make sense to you?
Yeah. So I'll go see page 14, 15.
And basically, I can change the words either to structure or to proposed development to make it apply to all, not just to wind farms.
Yeah.
I'll give you a copy of this.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so then the next thing, we will have to have a map of the project
Okay.
parcels then, right?
Well, now the question is, an aerial photo showing all project parcels. Question, is it really necessary and useful? And if so, should we add that to the list under 6.3.3?
Well, because this is like a wind energy specific thing. I mean, the aerial photo is good to have because you want to know, is it forested, is it residential? I mean, it just gives you a better overview of where houses are, where roads are, where people are doing stuff.
Should that apply to all large projects or just to wind farms?
I think all tier 3 high.
Yeah, that's what my feeling is. That's
So
why
then we can add aerial photo to that too then?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'd say so, yeah.
Okay, so
which
we're
means
gonna,
you've got to make another.
no, I was just gonna add aerial photo to the whole, what that line we just had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's fine, that's simple. Now we're just down to non-participating parcels and participating parcels.
Okay, the area, well, no, now you're talking about the topographic overlay and my notes on that.
No, you missed the sentence. Participating parcels, non-participating parcels.
An aerial photo showing all project parcels. Well,
Stop, okay?
yes, right at-
That's the tier 3 thing.
right.
But now, there is no such thing as participating parcels, non-participating parcels on a sawmill.
Not on a sawmill, but there could be other developments at some
But
point.
this is something that's very narrow.
So if other developments don't have them, they don't have to worry about that part of the sentence.
We're not gonna get rid of a site plan detail requirement
No, we're not.
in toto for wind
No.
projects.
No, we're not. But what it amounts to is, let's say you were putting in a sawmill out here. Well, you've got no participating parcels and
I
non-participating.
know, but that's defined in the definitions of people who are gonna have easements and stuff like that.
Right, but if they
Why are you
don't-
fighting over this?
Why, if they don't have them, you just leave it in there. If they don't have them, they don't have to supply that.
Right, but this is what happens then there'll be an argument down the road for if there's not a participating parcel, and we'll give them a waiver for participating parcels. And the judge will tell us that we weren't allowed to give them a waiver for something that doesn't exist.
A topographic overlay for a
Right,
project.
we'll have to tell us to prove that participating parcels don't exist. That's what we had to do this past time, Bruce. If you write it in there and make it a general requirement for everything, and then they'll say, well, you have to make participating parcels and non-participating parcels.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do, because you have to make ISO contours.
Not if they're not required under the other parts of the ordinance.
Right, well, that's why you just leave it in here just as it is for under the wind parcels. I mean, this is a really unique thing. It's like in the whole world it doesn't exist except for wind parcels.
See, I can see other situations where you would have a site come in where you would say we want to use the same procedure of having participating parcels and non-participating.
Right, I know, but that's like another layer of regulation for somebody else that I don't wanna have. Well, I don't think very many other people wanna have either.
Okay, see, if they don't need it for theirs, it's like, okay, they just ignore that part of the sentence. Or we issue them a waiver saying, there are no
I wanna get out of
participating.
the,
What would
Possibilities
happen,
of having a
Bruce, what would
waiver.
happen, Bruce, if you had
I'm trying to get away from having
a neighbor
multiple.
that wanted to call you out on it? You've got it in the ordinance requiring.
right,
Okay, so they say, you didn't give us a topo survey of,
Oh.
no, we're just only that one sentence now, Bruce, just so, we're only talking about one sentence.
right,
We're just talking about participating parcels, we're not talking about topo surveys or anything, we're just talking about a location map that shows participating parcels and
a
non-participating
location map.
parcels. That's all we're talking about right now, one sentence.
Which sentence are you looking at?
The sentence that says, because we agreed that we're gonna put the aerial photo
Yeah,
up with the rest of it.
yeah.
So now, basically, what you'd be saying is a location map, where you put an aerial photo before, you would write a location map showing participating parcels, non-participating parcels located within 280 feet of the wind
It's
turbine.
an aerial photo, you don't say a map of the aerial photo.
You're gonna have like lines on a map, like a property overlay. They can show it on an aerial photo if they want or not.
You're making it more complicated than it needs to be.
I don't think so. I think,
Eric is still working on the sentence, the aerial sentence, you're down on the top.
right, I'm done the aerial sentence.
What you was talking about.
Right, I know, but I don't wanna I'm agreeing with everybody that the aerial photo belongs up with the other maps.
Okay.
Okay, do we all agree with that? I thought we all agreed.
Yes, yes.
The only question I have here, Bruce, is participating parcels, non-participating parcels is only in the world of wind turbine projects. It's not in the world
At
of...
this time, so
I know,
why
but-
not make it general, so that for any time in the future, we decide that should apply to a different.
Well, why would you want to?
Why? Junkyard,
Well, why,
and getting neighbors to sign off on it because of the noise.
well, then you're just gonna create a situation for a person that wants to run any business, just take it as a universal business, okay? XYZ business. So you're gonna basically be creating a process where if you wanna do something on your property, your neighbor's gonna have an immediate reason to not let you do something on your property, and they'll make you go get an easement.
That will have to happen only if we write into the ordinance that people, adjoiners, have to be
Well,
participating.
why, to me, you're creating an opening for something that doesn't need to be there. I mean, if you really wanna do it and have people vote on it and create more things for people to go through,
I don't see where it's more okay.
Dave, you're from Virginia now, okay? You're like recently from Virginia. I'm like a long time ago from Maryland. So if you saw this in Virginia, did they make people ask permission in Virginia to get, right,
Other things, yeah.
right? And is that something that people who own property,
Very honest.
do people who want to start businesses like that?
Well, I can put it in context, not businesses, but just living in a community with a lot of covenants and a lot of restrictions, getting your neighbor's approval to modify your property in that context. Not a business, but just
Right,
putting a storm door on. You required, if the house didn't originally have it, you had to get your neighbor's okay or consent or overcome that disagreement if they objected. So it can be onerous.
right. I don't see that it adds value to the community.
I'm just trying to simplify it. As far as I'm concerned, if you haven't said for another kind of development that they have to have participating parcels and non-participating, then it simply doesn't apply. If you want to leave it there, fine, but that means you now have topographic maps again.
No, you
two
don't. We're not
places,
gonna, no, stop.
And
Read
aerial
the last
photos.
sentence. He's down to the last sentence.
Right, I'm agreeing that we don't, I'm gonna agree with you that this topo map thing can go away. The next sentence, I'm only talking about one sentence, Bruce. I'm not talking about the second sentence. The sentence that starts with topographical overlay of the project parcels and non-participating parcels within 280 feet of the wind turbine. The topo doesn't need to be there. Just a map that shows the ownership. I'm gonna agree with you, we don't have to have that topo again.
Ownership map is,
Just an ownership map.
yeah,
I'm gonna agree with you that we don't need to have a topo again.
okay.
Right, so it's no duplication.
But you're still up on the aerial photo, right?
No. I'm just on the one sentence that says that there's gonna be a participating and non-participating parcel map. I'm gonna add some words in front of it that says she'll show a participating and non-participating parcel map. I'm gonna add the words, the developer will show in front of participating parcels.
I don't know where you're adding it, honestly.
Why don't,
This sentence, we're fine.
this is Bruce's reading.
This is never gonna get done in the night. I told you this wasn't gonna happen like you thought it was last week, Bill.
Okay.
Okay. You don't have the old one, do you?
The old one, it's all right there.
So right to the aerial photo.
This has all been,
Oh, okay, I see it now. Okay. This is gonna go with that up there. It's gonna go away. Right here. I'm gonna add the words. I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna put the word right in front of this. The developer will show participating parcels, non-participating parcels located within 50 to 80 feet of the proposed structure. Stop. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to put the words right there, the developer will show. That's all that's going to be there. That's the only requirement that's going to be there for a map. Everything else is going to be someplace else. Because there's no requirement for participating parcels and non-participating parcels in any other project that we have, that we regulate. Right, indeed, and I'm not advocating that we create more regulations and more complications. And I'm not advocating that we set up a situation where we have to give waivers. I mean, I'm advocating that whatever we do in this ordinance is set up so that there's minimum need for waivers.
So you would do away with, what Bruce is proposing is to do away with the topographical overlay part.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with that, because that's already someplace else. I'm agreeing.
Yeah.
The participating parcels currently only is associated with wind parcels, only wind parcels, and nothing else. So I'm just saying, let's leave it only with wind parcels and nothing else. And I'm agreeing.
okay. I mean, I think you're looking at things that would never happen.
I know, but then I'm just looking at not having to give a waiver to somebody for not doing it. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at not having to do a waiver.
Bruce, is there a specific industry other than wind farm that they're concerned about here that?
Well, not at this time, but the whole point of the land use ordinance is we didn't plan on wind farms coming in. And because of that, we didn't have enough.
So if somebody wants to put up a potash mine or something.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, if somebody comes, you don't know what somebody's gonna come in
Or
the
quarry.
future with.
They're,
Well, I will say this. Apparently, is Paula still here? Where's she hiding?
Right there.
Paula?
Well, there you are.
Oh, me? Oh.
Paula, you. Last week, you brought up the notion of meth clinics and things like that. Okay, so anyway, this week at work, somebody mentioned to me that apparently somebody has a bee in their bonnet about 4 people getting into a taxi cab and riding from Calais to Bangor or whatever for their meth clinic treatments, and then each one of the 4 claims mileage for it.
Yeah.
Okay? So apparently somebody down at the state level is indicating that they want to have meth clinics out in rural areas. Now how that will save money, I mean, just because of, I mean, I'm agreeing that that's abusive, okay? But to the degree it's abusive versus the cost of putting meth clinics all out in rural areas just to prevent people from doubling up in taxi cabs, I'm not quite clear on. So, but there's a thought process that they should put meth clinics out in rural areas because apparently they're saying that's where these people are. So, I never really thought of it as being a serious option until somebody mentioned it to me at work. So what you said last week might be something that we do need to deal with. So that would be a situation, because you asked for what types of things might be an issue. Bruce is bringing up this participating, non-participating. The thing is, with these definitions for participating and non-participating, those were definitions that came down through a lineage of wind regulations across the United States. Okay, now, I don't know if it would be a good thing to do, to have participating and non-participating, as opposed to just, if you had an industry that was gonna have, potentially have a lot of impacts, just be a little bit more simple about it and say, easements will be obtained or whatever, for whatever the hazard is. Like your potash thing, okay, or your quarry example. Easements will be obtained from the, adjoining a landowner to indicate that they were aware of the risks of collapse or whatever. I don't know, I can't think what it would be, but you know what I'm saying? That you could just say easements. But I'm just saying if we, the other, trying to take words that came down through wind regulation and then apply those terms to other situations might also be a little bit risky.
Well, it's verbalized in the sentence and aerial photo. You're gonna leave in the participating parcels and non-participating parcels located within about 5,280 feet of any proposed wind turbine. That's moving up. And then you're gonna delete the last sentence, topographical overlay.
Yeah, right, you're gonna delete
Well,
it.
if you're gonna,
Who cares what the topo looks like? You're just most interested in who's participating, who's not participating, so you know who needs the most protection.
Why do you need two maps? One map's, you either got an aerial or you got a topographical, and go with the aerial.
Well, the aerial photo, there's two different purposes.
Yeah.
yeah, there's two different purposes. I didn't eliminate the topographic, I just said that,
We can put the topo up with the other stuff too.
yeah, you can.
I'll put the topo with the other stuff, and the only thing that'll be there is just the participating parcels, non-participating parcels, because there's two different levels of protection for those things.
See, the thing is, the topo, as it's put in here, covers also the participating, it covers everything out to a mile of the project. Whereas the actual project site is already covered in 6.3.4.3, but that only covers the project site.
Well, this topo is gonna be just something that's taken off the USGS or some other media form anyway.
Yeah, so it's really of limited, it's of limited use, but the question is, do we want to leave it? Do you want to
Actually, I think it's a good idea to leave it because just looking at my property, aerial photograph, and it doesn't really show
Any relief?
any relief. I've got some really vertical areas, and that could be a factor in,
But I think it can go up with the other stuff.
yeah, agreed.
Right, and just because the only thing that pertains only to wind in the world is this participating, non-participating issue. That's the only issue I have with this. All the rest of it, is duplicated someplace else or can be added to someplace else more easily.
Okay, so leave the two things that mention project parcels and participating parcels and non-participating here. And get rid of the rest.
Yeah, and move it, not get rid of it, move it to a different place. There's a difference. We're gonna move it over into the 6.3 area.
Yes, the other things you're
Right,
gonna move.
we're gonna move, we're not gonna get rid of them.
They're already covered in the other.
Right, or whatever.
No, they're not being gotten rid of. They're,
Right,
they're
I just wanna
already,
make sure we're
we're
clear
trying to
about
eliminate the duplication.
Right,
And they're already being done once. Why do them twice?
correct.
You could have someone right now that says, well, here you have the map of the town in 6, but you didn't give us another one for 14.
I know.
And it-
So let's, tax identifiers.
Okay,
This is moving into what, 6333?
Someplace in the 6.3 area.
6.3, yeah, under 6.3.
I'll figure that out, because I'm gonna have to do some renumbering anyway.
Yeah, it will. Tax identifiers, tax map with a lot number and all parcels within 1.5 miles of a proposed, I changed wind turbine to development structure, and I think it should be added under 6.33 with a tier determination.
Yeah, I agree. That seems like a logical place to put it up there with that stuff too.
And basically, if a Walmart came in, which would be a tier 3 high, I think we should know what everybody is within a mile and a half of
Yeah,
it.
oh, definitely. I mean, and that's not unique.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Right.
that'll go under plan submittals and map scale.
Yeah, somewhere in the 6.3 zone.
Yeah, so basically we'll be adding more numbers, putting it all right there.
Yeah.
But what's gonna happen is the only place is gonna be a yes is under tier 3 high.
Right.
So the only people that have to worry about is that tier 3. The idea is as much as possible for anyone that's got a project to go to Article 6, and they know everything that they've got to do in general,
Okay.
without having to go back and forth and do it twice. Okay. Right. And then project parcel
I
boundaries.
think that was already someplace else too.
That's already included under 6.3.3.3. So that can be just deleted from here.
Yeah.
Okay, participating parcel boundaries. I was gonna add it under 6.3.3 as like 6.3.3.4, but you might want.
We've already got that covered in that previous one. We just covered it above.
Not the actual boundaries.
We did. What's that, what else is a participating parcel map?
Where is your participating?
That one that we just had this long discussion about a few minutes ago.
Okay, if you think it's covered there, as long as it's worded so we know it's covered there.
I'm gonna go check wording for previous.
Yeah, 6.3.3.3.
Well, no, these are participating parcel boundaries, separate from the project parcel boundaries. Two different
Yeah,
things.
but we'll do that.
And we do need those. Okay, now, non-participating parcel boundaries.
Change all the references on wind
Yeah.
turbines to development structures.
Well, no, this is again, you know what, I will word all of that participating and non-participating together with all this stuff included in it.
Okay,
It just will make it a lot easier.
okay, so the stuff having to do with participating and non-participating, we're going to leave in this
We're
section.
gonna leave in this section and I'll get it all worked out.
Okay. Well, in the same way, parcel owner identifiers is going to have to be left here as well.
You know, because this could be something that goes, if you have it included with the other ones, this one just happens to say participating and non-participating parcels. But if the tax map and lot number group is a larger group than the participating and non-participating parcel group. You know what I mean? It's like a superset of that. I mean, the participating and non-participating parcels are a subset of the tax maps. So if we make it a requirement to put in all those tax maps within the 1.5 miles or whatever, we're gonna have this. So what I mean, have tax maps out here, big set, and then participating, non-participating parcels, a subset of tax maps.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that integrates in.
Okay, because I had it to add under 6.3.6, because it's, at least for project parcels, it's already covered under 6.3.6.1.
So I'll go review, okay, I agree with you. I'll go and review the other 6.3 submittals.
Okay.
But you think we should go out to 1.5 miles for these though, right?
No, we had already
52.
changed this to a mile.
Okay. Well, if you wanted to include all parcels, do you want it to be 1.5 miles? What, like the tax maps?
Well, how does the board feel, a mile or 1.5 miles?
Miles should be sufficient.
I know, but we're making them do the tax maps to 1.5 miles now.
Are we?
Yeah, that's what you just said a few
Oh,
minutes
well,
ago.
yeah, most of the maps were listed before as 1.5 miles.